Welcome to a Tuesday edition of From the Nosebleeds. I'm Joey Gunnar here with Trent Finnegan. It's a fun day. It's the first day of NBA. The season is kicking off or tipping off today. We had a great time yesterday. Of course, we now know who the World Series matchup is. We've got Toronto versus LA. It's going to be a lot of fun. Just before we get into the, all this stuff about the Nuggets coming up and Dre Greenlaw, of course, what we're talking about. Trent, what are you looking forward for in the World Series? Who do you got?
I was really hoping for the Mariners, only team in the league to not make the World Series yet, which is kind of crazy because there's a lot of bad franchises in that league. I was pulling for them, but that Springer home run late was an insane sports moment to watch. But hey,
of Jose Bautista.
Here in Rockies country, though, I don't know if you can root for the Dodgers. If you want the Jays, the Mariners, whoever you want, you just can't root for the Dodgers in the World Series.
We'll see about that. I got my Dodger blue on. Let's go, Shohei. I've got the Dodgers winning it in 4 games. And, of course, I'm lying. Get that out of here. We got the Jays going all the way. I've got the Jays winning it all. That's what I'm excited for. Definitely crazy that game yesterday. George Springer, Vladdy, the talent on that team, the pitching, it was a really crazy game to watch. They were, behind for 7 innings of that game and ended up coming back. A lot of fun. I do feel a little bit for, the Julio Rodriguez's of the world and the big dumper and Cal Raleigh, but they're still a young team. They'll get it. But let's move on to what we all want to talk about, and that's some Denver talk. We got some big stuff happening with the Nuggets. Yesterday, they made a massive signing that keeps Christian Braun on the team for an extra 5 years. 5 years, $125 million was the extension for Christian Braun. Very huge contract. This guy has immediately become a key piece to this team, helped win a championship in his rookie year here, and is just one of those guys that now you can feel secure about the core of your team moving into the future. How big of a contract signing is this, Trent? Because I'm thinking it's huge. It's one of the biggest signings of the year, and I'm taking that into account with the people they brought in, not just the people they've retained.
Oh, it's massive. He's here until 2031. Like saying that feels weird. They have him locked in for so long, and he's only going to be 29 in that season. He's still so young. Like, getting a talented role player to keep him in town for that long is, we were saying it all week, they had to sign him no matter what that number was. $25 million a year, maybe that's a little steeper than some might have wanted. I know people were looking for maybe 23 a year, 115 million total.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. You had to get it done. They got it done. This is what a starting guard makes in the NBA now. I know it looks expensive, but this is just how there's a crazy amount of money in this league. This is what a starting guard makes, especially for a guy who was one of the best transition scorers in the league last year. He was arguably the best perimeter defender on the Nuggets last year, and he's a perfect fit with Jokic. His ability to cut off the ball. There's some concerns with the 3-point volume. Maybe people want him to start shooting a little more, and I get that. And he was not good in the playoffs at shooting threes, but he's only 24. Like, there's plenty of time for him to work on it and whatever. He's still young. He's still growing. He's super valuable to this Nuggets team. They have their core locked in for the next couple of years, and I got to applaud the front office. They had to get it done, and they did it.
Yeah, no, huge. And he did lead the league in, I believe it was field goal percentage in transition, and it was something like that. It was a weird stat that you don't really see counted. It's very similar to how they counted Travis Hunter's total snaps in college, but still, it's a sign that, this guy gets out there and he runs the break very, very well. And people complaining about the price tag fail to realize that that's on the lower end of what he could have gotten. We were looking at 25 to 30 a year. Maybe it would have been a shorter deal, maybe only 4 years, 30 million, but he deserves that money that he makes. He has made a statement coming into this league. He is one of these guys that is going to be a solid piece on any team that he goes to. And the Nuggets knew that. So that's why they knew that they had to keep him here. There was no other place where he could go and he would be as successful as he can on the Nuggets. So it was the best decision for both of those teams, or both parties, I guess is the best way to put it. But that's all the good stuff. We see what he is going to be able to do, what he's done in the past. Now we got to talk about some of the bad stuff with this, big, huge signing. And that's because of how much money the Nuggets have left. They are getting very, very close to hitting that second apron. And the second apron was a big topic of conversation last year because it's still kind of strange. A lot of people don't really understand how it works. But basically, if you go above that in salary, if you go above that little line that says you can't not cross, you got to start paying a lot of money. You will start losing draft picks. It's crazy. Where can the Nuggets look to maybe make some changes heading into next season?
So I think the big thing is you got to look at getting off Zeke Najee's contract. He's getting paid almost $7.5 million in the 2026-27 season. That's where we're looking at when things start to get a little shaky with the cap. He's making 4.5%, which doesn't sound a whole lot, but when Jokic is making 36% of the team's cap, Jamal's making 30, Gordon's making 20, Cam Johnson's making 14, and Christian Brown's making 13, that's all your money right there. You got to be smart. Yeah. And that does include Jonas Valanciunas has that $10 million that's non-guaranteed that year. But the Zeke Najee deal, look, they fired Calvin Booth. You're never getting rid of Calvin Booth. The damage he did to this franchise will always be able to be seen. Yeah. That Zeke Najee deal is not good. Hunter Tyson's on the books for $2.4 million. That's another bad Calvin Booth contract. Yeah. So you got to start. I don't know if you're going to be able to dump him for picks. They used all their picks to dump other salaries that Calvin Booth handed out. Yeah. They got lucky dumping Dario Saric for Valanciunas. I don't know what the Kings are doing there, but they're going to have to find another low-hanging fruit team that's willing to take on Zeke's contract. But you have to get under that apron. And, the biggest thing, like you said, all those penalties, the biggest penalty I'm looking at is you can't trade future first-round picks.
Any of them. Yeah. They already have the rules. Yeah, but
they don't have any now because of the Porter trade. But then the one that they would get, I think it would be in 2033, that first-round
pick. It'd be like 10 years out or something wild. Yeah.
But they would get that first-round pick at the start of the offseason next year. But if they go over the apron, they can't trade that pick, which is valuable for dumping guys like Zeke Najee and whatnot. So I don't know how they're going to do it. I don't know what team is going to look at Zeke and say, hey, yeah, we want to pay this guy $8 million. But the Nuggets have got to find a way. And maybe, I don't like how this sounds, but maybe you got to play him. Maybe you have to shop play him around, Maybe you have to play Zeke Najee as your backup for 2 months and say, hey, wow, look at this great talent we got. Who wants to trade for him? So I don't know how they're going to get off of that with keeping him on the bench. That'll be an interesting development, but that's one of the most important cap developments for this team moving forward now that they've got Braun inked to a long-term deal.
Yeah, and, the front office in Wallace and Tenzer has only proven to be really great at their job so far, honestly. I haven't seen anything from them so far that's, pointing me in a direction to think about them where I'm like, I don't really like them. But if they can finesse a deal, I will just love them so much more. That's going to take a lot of work. And yeah, it'll have to kind of come down to David Adelman. I agree with you. Hey, we want you to play this guy. Get into a position where you're taking a big enough lead or losing by enough to where you can shop this guy and put him out on the stage room and let him perform a little bit. And then maybe other teams will draw some attention. But another big thing that happened yesterday, and maybe not happened, is, didn't happen. Payton Watson did not get an extension done. We saw Christian Braun. We did not see Payton Watson. Is this the kind of guy they're going to wait to see what he looks like when he's a restricted free agent? Or do you think they might just be done? Do you think they might want to shop him around too?
I just think it's a prove it year for him. He's had flashes hey, here's this guy, Payton Watson, who makes this sick block. He jumps from what seems like the 3-point line, like he's hacking in 2K or something to get this block. But then he goes in transition and misses 3 layups in a row in the next quarter. And you're like, why are the Nuggets playing this guy? So it's it's going to be an interesting year for him. And the Nuggets are going to be able to match whatever offer sheet he gets in restricted free agency in the offseason. But, I mean, how much would you pay him? Like, Valanciunas is getting 10 mil. Would you pay Watson around 10 mil? Would you try and pay him the 8 mil around Zeke Naji? Like, what would you do?
That's what I was going to say. I think that he deserves a Zeke Naji contract. He deserves that 8 mil. Zeke Naji does not. But if you could have gotten Payton Watson on a deal like Zeke Naji, that would be heaven. That would be great.
Yeah, but I'm looking at Payton Watson, like the playoffs last year, Game 7 against OKC, he was 1 for 8 from the field. Game 6, he was 1 for 7. Game 5, he was 1 for 4. And I know he's playing limited minutes, and he's mostly there to play defense. But there were times where he's just standing in the corner and his guy is standing on the low block doubling Jokic because they're like, this guy is not a threat on this side of the floor unless he's catching an alley-oop. So I think that there might still be hope that he can have a good year because I think his ceiling, if he puts on some more weight, is kind of playing that Aaron Gordon role where he can play defense and then he can kind of sit in that dunker spot, catch some oops, but he can hit some threes. That's his ceiling. And that's why they drafted him, I think, because they're like, hey, like this guy's 6'8". He has these tools. Let's see if we can develop him into that. And the development course has been a little slow so far, but maybe, well, now this is his prove it year. It's got to be, hey, I can play that role, or hey, I'm going to go be on the Nets with Michael Porter Jr. and just make a contract and make some money and play basketball for a living. So
yeah, I mean, I can see that. And about the ceiling and the floor, I think that this is his floor right now. What we're seeing from Payton Watson is his floor. And if I may, I might be a little bit too crazy, getting too big for my britches, but his ceiling is closer to an Anthony Davis for me. Like, you talk about somebody who can stretch the floor if he could start shooting correctly. Anthony Davis, great shot blocker, and right now Payton Watson looks like one of the greater shot blockers in this league, but that's all that his defense really is. I mean, we saw him get cooked by Shai Gilgeous-Alexander to win him a game last season. That happened earlier in the season. So if he can tighten up on defense and be better all around on the perimeter as well as he is inside, and then on the finishing level, if he becomes that dunker, that lob threat, that's more like Anthony Davis. Again, maybe too crazy. Maybe I'm just, getting a little bit of a gold tinted glasses on with the Denver Nuggets, but I could definitely see that being the type of player if he's developed properly. I just think that that's kind of past. And also with the way that he played in the semi-conference last year, or the semifinals against OKC. Yeah, he had limited minutes, but you know who else had limited minutes? Julian Strawther. And Julian Strawther made the most of his minutes. There were a few times there he single-handedly won the Nuggets a game. That happened at one point where he came out, I believe he hit 4 threes in 2.5 minutes, something like that. Am I right?
Yeah,
there?
he won them game 6. He literally won them game 6 because he hit a couple of those threes. He hit that floater. I mean, it was like a Strawther avalanche in that third quarter. He finished that game. He played 20 minutes. He scored 15 points in 20 minutes. He still fouled 3 times because that's what he does. But that spark, I mean, that Ball Arena crowd, that I've never heard that elite arena that loud besides the finals. And it was all because of Julian Strawther. But that's because he was excelling in his role in those 20 minutes. He's like, hey, I'm on the floor to shoot and to just not be a negative on defense. And he held his own. But Watson in those same minutes, he's like, he's playing fine or he's playing mid, but he's not like excelling in his role like you saw Strawther do in that big game 6 explosion.
Yeah. There are people who arise to it and there are people who will crumble under it, and that's pressure. And we saw a tale of two sides in those games. But Payton Watson, I still have a lot of faith. I don't know what it is, but I love Payton Watson overall. Again, gold tinted glasses on, being a real homer here, but I want to see him get a deal signed in this offseason. I want this to be his breakout year, but we'll just have to see. And the Nuggets are playing their first game of the season on Thursday. Tonight, again, first game of the NBA season. We have Houston versus OKC, and then I believe we have Golden State versus LA. 2 very fun games. I'm going to be watching those. I can't wait to see what happens. And then again on Thursday, of course, we have the first game of the Nuggets season. But moving on, because we got some Broncos news to talk about. This guy cannot stay on the field. What the hell, Dre Greenlaw? He was suspended for this upcoming game because of an altercation he had with a ref after the last game that the Broncos played against the Giants. What happened here? I'm in complete shock. I read this story yesterday. It's so ridiculous to me, and we have the video, and we'll play it here in a little bit. But first off, Trent, are we ever going to see this guy play a game for the Broncos, like a full game? He played, 21 snaps last week?
Yeah, he played 21 snaps, and he was pretty solid. He had 6 tackles.
Yeah.
He had that big QB hit on Dart. But you brought this guy in to be a leader of your defense. A leader doesn't go, I don't care how mad you are. I don't care how bad Brad Allen's calls were. A leader doesn't leave his team's celebration to go chase Brad Allen off the field and yell something obscene enough that gets him suspended. That's not what a leader does. That's not why you paid this guy all this money. So, he's going to appeal it, and he might have a case because we'll see it in the video. Brad Allen's the ref that we're dealing with, by the way. Allen it looks like he kind of shoves Justin Strnad to get out. But at the same time, he's in the middle of this mob of Broncos celebrating this awesome win. So I get he's just like, hey, please get off me. I just want to go home. But so I don't know if Greenlaw's yelling at him about that, if Greenlaw's yelling at him about the Riley Moss DPI call. I don't know what exactly he's mad at, but at the end of the day, it's inexcusable. The whole team is celebrating, and you're one off yelling at a ref. This is not ridiculous. What you brought him into town to do.
Yeah, 100% ridiculous. Take a look at the video, and then we'll watch it after that. We'll talk about it after that, but take a look. Yeah, so I've got a few thoughts about that. First off, celebrate with your team. Yes. What are you doing? There is no need to do that. The game is over. You're out of game mode now. You can celebrate a big, big win with your team without having to go and chirp in the referee's ear. That's thought number one. Thought number two, is that really that necessary to suspend him for a game? Come on. Okay. I'm sure that refs get told a lot of things throughout the entire game. And whatever the case was there, I don't think we'll ever find out what actually was said. Whatever it was, that's a pretty soft call. That's a soft suspension. I get, maybe a fine. I can understand a fine. But to give him a suspension for a game for that? It wasn't like if you were to go up and have pushed the ref, if we were to go up and like spit on him or slap them or something crazy. Yeah, suspend him for a couple games at that point. But going up and yelling at him to talking to the ref, what are we doing here? It's 2025 and we're playing like little babies. We are grown men out here. Play the game. And yeah, you're going to get chippy with the ref. I don't care what it is. That's a soft suspension.
Oh, I agree with you 100%. And now he's got the fine of a game check, which is a lot more than whatever a $50K fine would have been. Yeah. I think it's $192,777 plus a $90,000 in-game roster bonus is what he's getting fined.
Oh my God!
So
plus the $90,000.
So $282,777 is what he will be fined, or what he'll miss. The check he'll miss for not playing. And it's just, and like we're saying, you see him push Strnad, and Strnad kind of gives the ref a dirty look, like, hey man, what the heck? But then Strnad turns right back around and celebrates because they just pulled off one of the greatest comebacks in franchise history, and Greenlaw is out there yelling. And I do think it's hilarious how the ref throws the flag and then just picks it up. And I'm like, why? The game's over. Why are we throwing the flag? Was that necessary to just?
Yeah, I don't think there needed to be a flag. What are you going to do? 15-yard penalty at the beginning of next week's game?
And then instantly goes and picks it up. Just such a weird situation.
It is weird.
But at the end of the day, it's a maturity thing. I mean, you need this guy to be on the field. You need this guy to be a leader. And now you are without him against the Cowboys,
Mhm.
who have my MVP favorite right now and Dak Prescott.
That's a
And
fair pick.
they have great talent all around, and they have a running back, third down running back in Jaden Blue, a rookie out of Texas, who is going to make Alex Singleton look silly in that pass game if he gets in one-on-one coverage. So, but Greenlaw, I mean, he's 28. He's played nearly a decade in this league. Like you need more maturity out of a veteran like that.
Yeah, no, 100%. And by the book, it says the NFL issued the suspension for a violation of Rule 12, Section 3, Article 1B, which prohibits the use of abusive, threatening, or insulting language or gestures to opponents, teammates, officials, or representatives of the league. Greenlaw has 3 days. Now I believe it's 2 days to appeal that suspension. I don't know if the appeal will go through. I sure hope it does. Because as you mentioned, they've got that third down running back, but I'm worried about a first and second down running back that has a little something to prove against the Broncos. And yes, I'm talking about Javonte Williams. That's going to be a revenge game and a half if I ever seen one. I mean, whoo, I can't wait to see what happens there. But yeah, that's a real unfortunate loss, a real stupid loss. And, you know, you can talk about how soft it is for the refs. I was just doing that. You can talk about how soft it is all you want. It comes down to the player's fault. That is the player's fault because you don't have to go and yell at the ref. Guess what? They're not going to suspend you for a game if you're just sitting there celebrating with your team. They are going to suspend you for a game if you come up yelling at a ref. And that's just how it goes. But moving on, we've got another fun topic today, and that's we're going to switch it over to the Avs, back to Ball Arena for this one, because they just unveiled their new jerseys. Take a look at these jerseys. We got a few different pictures of them, but they are the Quebec Nordique jerseys. They are putting them on for their 30th anniversary, which is their celebration this year. It's their 30th year since moving to Colorado. So, of course, naturally, 30 years since moving to Colorado, they put on their Nordique jerseys. I don't understand that. And if you're catching my drift, I'm not a big fan of the jerseys. I think they look cool, but why are we celebrating 30 years and going back to what they were wearing in Quebec? What is that? I don't like that. I don't like that move at all.
Yeah, it's interesting. And, you know, they did those reverse retros in 2021, those like white and burgundies where it was kind of a mix of the Nordiques and the Avs.
Those are great. I like those.
I thought those were cool. We'll see about these ones. Like, I get it. You have some great players in franchise history that rep the Nordique blue before they came to Denver and dominated in the late 90s and whatnot. But I also just think that this team has like milked it way too much. Like they've been teasing this for like 2 months now.
Yeah.
It's like, just drop them. Like it's been this whole drawn out process. I think they're cool. I think it's fun. You know, it's at the end of the day, I can tell you one thing. I know that Nathan Mackinnon does not care about what sweater he's wearing. I know Cale Makar does not care about what sweater he's wearing. As long as it has an Avalanche logo on it, they like those guys don't have an opinion. Like this is more for the fans and whatnot. And maybe they could have gone with a different way to celebrate 30 years without just like totally rewinding the clock way back when. But it's just it's fine, you know. I don't think it's anything crazy. So
yeah, I'm not shocked by him. I wish there was a little bit more effort put into them. It's not that hard to me to just go back to a design that they already had 40 years ago. It seems a little bit uninspired. I get what they're trying to do, but they could have gone so many different routes. I mean, it's their 30th anniversary. You have the freedom to do whatever you want. And I'm really just like, you're celebrating 30 years as the Avalanche. And of course, you put on a jersey for when you were the Nordiques. It's not connecting with me. But luckily, the sweater does not matter. And yeah, I'm going to get hated on because I've been calling them jerseys for the past like 5 minutes. But the sweater does not matter because the Avs are playing with a fire under their butt. They are going off. I mean, they're 5-0-1. Scott Wedgwood has been putting up masterclass numbers. Insane play from them. I know last time they played was against the Bruins, and Scott Wedgwood looked like a great wall. He allowed 1 goal on their first shot on goal. The Bruins took one shot on goal, went in. He didn't allow another one for the rest of the night. He had a couple great saves. He's playing out of his mind right now. It's insane to watch him.
Yeah, and that he had the save of the year so far. He had that glove save where he's
the left hand,
he's fully in the right side of the crease, almost out, and the puck ends up on the left. And anybody looks at that and you're like, all right, like it's hockey, it's a goal. And he just totally sticks his left hand out. Like one of the coolest snatches I've seen.
Insane.
He's playing phenomenal. You know, they terminated, which I thought was aggressive wording. They terminated Mackenzie Blackwood's conditioning loan with the Eagles, which means that he should be close. But you don't need to rush Mackenzie Blackwood. If you got your backup goalie wins the third star of the week around the league, like I think that's awesome that the Avs have a backup like this. And he's one of the biggest reasons why they have yet to lose a regulation game. I mean, they have 11 points. That's the second most in the league, only behind Vegas, who was 12. Like this team, remember last year they started 0-4.
They did, and they allowed like 8 goals in their opener.
Exactly. So this is a huge flip from last year, and it could finally get them out of a first-round matchup with the Dallas Stars if they keep playing like this. So it's been great hockey in the offensive zone, in the defensive zone, in between the pipes with Wedgwood, and I think all Avs fans should be pleased with what they're seeing on the ice right now.
Yeah. Well, the defensive zone, especially in that Bruins game, I believe there was only 14 shots on goal taken by the Bruins the entire night. And again, that started after their first shot was a goal itself. Crazy defensive play in that game specifically. And overall, in all 5 of the wins for the Avs, they've only allowed 1 goal. The only time they've allowed more than 1 is against the Stars when they ended up losing in overtime. You know, everything that I'm seeing from this team has been great. And it's, again, this would be my 3rd year saying it now, and I don't want to jinx it on myself, but this looks like the time we might finally get to see 2 parades. This looks like it. I mean, with the way that they've started, we'll have to see how the Nuggets start, but they've looked like that kind of team, a Stanley Cup team so far this season. It's exciting to watch. It really is. But, you know, that'll do it for today's episode of From the Nosebleeds. Thank you guys so much for joining. Leave a comment. Always love seeing your guys' comments on here. We got a few today. Roy Osborne, good to see you. He was DMing me on Twitter. He went to this game against the Giants. It was his first ever NFL game. Good morning, Joey and Trent. What an amazing experience it was for me at the game. It had to be insane. I mean, couldn't have picked a better game to go to. Yeah. All right, Lee Corso talking about the hat switch earlier. Respect that. Hey, smash that like button to share, guys. You're right, Clayton. Thanks for watching. That'll do it for today's episode, though. Thank you guys so much for joining. Tomorrow, we'll be back with another episode, of course, talking about more Nuggets. They are getting closer and closer to their season opener. And then we got our waiver wire Wednesday. We're going to be taking a look around the league, seeing which players we should be watching and which players you should be watching this upcoming weekend in the NFL. But that'll do it for today's episode. Thank you guys for being here. We will see you tomorrow. Until then, y'all have a great rest of your day. Bye, y'all.